back. So the next problem is problem 8. Here, determine the absolute extrema. Absolute extrema means maximum or minimum. That is extreme, maximum or minimum. So they want you to find the absolute maxima or minima of fx equals 3x to the power 2/3 minus 2x on the interval -1 to 1. Okay, and look, they are not asking us to find the maximum value, they are asking us to find where. Okay, so need to find x values where the maximum or minimum occurs. All right, x values, not they. When they say a maximum value, then you give me the y value, but when they are saying where it occurs, then you give me the x value. Okay, so let's get to business. Oops, clicked on the wrong one. There you go. So as always, we need to first find critical numbers. Notice this function is defined everywhere because this is a positive power. Everything is fine here. But let's look at the derivative. It is 3 times, well, the power has to come down, 2/3 times x to the power 2/3 minus 1. Got that? Minus 2. Okay. Now, on this side, let's worry about 3 times 2/3. So, 3 times 2/3. So, let me write it as a fraction. 2 upstairs, 3 downstairs. So, notice what happens to this 3. I can view this 3 as a fraction. 3 upstairs, 1 downstairs. So what happens to my net result? 3 cancels the 3 and my answer, all that I have is 2. Okay. On the other hand, so by the way, all of this was because you had 3 equals fraction 3/1. Okay, I better make space here so you don't get confused. So this 3 is written as 3/1 and 2/3 is 2/3. Reducing, it becomes 2. So this part gives me 2. What about the other part? 2/3 minus 1. So 2 fraction, 2 upstairs, 3 downstairs, minus 1. This is equal, well, it's a fraction, 2 upstairs, 3 downstairs, and for subtraction you need common denominators. So fraction, 3 upstairs, 3 downstairs. In all, that gives me equals common denominator. So it's, now you can go through, -1/3. Okay, so the exponent is now negative. So in other words, my f prime x equals, this part was 2 and x to the power -1/3. Okay, and all of this is minus 2. 5. So that tells me what? Okay, so this is a fraction by itself. 2 upstairs, x to the power 1/3. Okay, negative exponents goes down, minus 2. All right, so finally I want to see where f is not defined and f is 0. F prime is undefined. So let me remind you, C is a critical number if f prime at c is equals 0 or f prime c is not defined. Okay, one part is easy. F prime x is not defined when x equals 0. Look at that, you have a denominator. So that gives me one critical number. Okay, so here I should point out, look, x equals 0 is a problem here, but it is not a problem in the original function. Original function, 0 upstairs, it's fine. 0 to the power 2/3 is 0. There is no issue there. It's only when after you take the derivative, you have a negative exponent, so it comes down. X equals 0 is a problem. Now the other issue is this quantity. So you want to solve for f prime x equals 0. So let's do some calculations. You have derivative to be 0. So you want this fraction 2 over x to the power 2/3. All of this should be equal, minus 2 should be 0. Okay, so move the 2 to the other side and we then get okay, move the negative 2 to the other side, you get a 2 there and nothing here. Okay, why don't I write this 2 as a fraction, because the left hand side is a fraction. 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. Okay, so I moved this 2 there and wrote it as a fraction, 2 over 1. Why would I write that? Because the left hand side is a fraction. Now I'm able to cross multiply. So cross multiplying, I get 2 times x to the power, x to the power 2/3. Oh, I'm sorry, it should be 1/3. Well, yeah, it was 1/3. 1/3 equals 2. Why don't I divide both sides by 2? I get x to the power 1/3 equals 1. Okay, dividing both sides by 2. Aha, now how do I solve for x? X to the 1/3 is same as saying cube root. You can take power 3 of both sides. So x to the power 1/3 power 3 equals 1 power 3. Okay, why power 3? Because this is denominator, right? So one way of getting rid of the denominator is bringing in a numerator. Yeah, so there you go. So that gives me exponent of exponent. You multiply the exponents, you get x equals 1 to the power 3 is 1. So this gives me another critical number. So x equals 1 is a critical number. All right. So far what do we have? We have x equals 0 and x equals 1. 0 here and 1 here. So fine. We are almost done. Your interval is -1 to 1. Aha. Are these numbers within the interval? Yes, they are. Actually, one of the endpoints is a critical number. So what do we know? So let's use x value and y value. What is y value? Y value is the value at the given function, not the derivative anymore. We used up derivative. You have to evaluate x on f. All right. So the numbers in question are -1 x value, then there is the 0, which is a critical number. Then there is a 1, which is both critical number and a boundary number. So you're supposed to use boundary numbers as well as critical numbers. And plug in -1 here. I have done that, and I get answer to be 5. Oops, 5. Plug in 0. I have done that. I get answer to be 0. Plug in 1. I have done that. I get number 1. All right. So, which is the maximum value? 5. Which is the minimum value? 0. But are they asking for maximum values? No. They are asking for x values where the absolute extrema occur. So the maximum occurs when x is -1. Okay, x is -1. And the minimum occurs, minimum is 0, it occurs when x is 0. Okay. All right, until next problem.